The House.
Speaker.
The Honourable Ruth Dyson.
Mr Speaker, can I commend the member who's just resumed his seat. He's the Deputy Chair of the committee that I have the privilege to chair, and he does a very fine job and really genuinely assisted in getting cross-party collaboration and trying to make what we thought was already a good bill even better than it was, and I think our committee achieved that. And I want to acknowledge also that the Committee of the Whole House did good work on this bill as well. This is a long overdue piece of legislation, and I was delighted, having witnessed several other attempts to achieve amalgamation of the various parts of our fire service. I was delighted to have the opportunity to chair the committee that looked at it. We had over 100 submissions on the bill, many of which were from people who had a lot of experience in the firefighting business, either as professionals or volunteers, and I think they made one of the most valuable contributions that I've heard, so I want to acknowledge them. The levy system that the Minister acknowledged was one of the most contentious issues, and I'll mention it later on, but I don't think we've got it right. I wouldn't be as dismissive of the people who are concerned about it as the Minister was, but I certainly hope that their fears aren't realised. I certainly hope that they're wrong in the description of the concerns they have, because they think they're genuine. They raised them with the committee and we were unable to progress that. Paul Foster-Bell mentioned museums, and we had good assurance from the officials that the concerns they raised would not be realised. It was one of the frustrations that the committee had in that a lot of the detail is going to be in regulations, but we made our views very clear. We've got it on the record about the assurances that we received at various points of the deliberation, so that we can say, no, you told us this, and now you're going to deliver it. So I just remind people who are responsible for that we have got it on the record, and we'll be keeping a close eye on it, but I do have confidence that they will deliver in the way that they said. The Committee of the Whole House accepted the recommendations from our committee and made what I think were good amendments. The local committees are now called local advisory committees, and we thought that was pretty appropriate because that's going to be their job. They're going to be advising. We excluded the insurance of aircraft that fly scheduled in international services. We included some additional anti-avoidance provisions. We got a lot of help from the insurance industry, despite the fact that they have fundamental opposition to the levy regime. They still gave us a lot of assistance in working through some of the insurance details, which is not the expertise of any of the members of the committee, and I just want to put on the record that we appreciate that. And consideration of the use of fires as a land management tool, which was something that I guess for a lot of the city slickers who were advising the committee wasn't a familiar use, but again we came to a really sensible decision based on the contribution that we had from submitters. Mr Speaker, this is a really big and significant change, and it's coming into effect on the 1st of July. I just want to say that I'm frustrated that it's been delayed so long. We made the offer. We worked hard at the committee. We got the bill back before it was due. We made the offer to work in our overtime hours to perhaps get this bill progressed. But I think probably I wouldn't say obstinance. I'd probably say incompetence of the former leader of the House. That offer wasn't taken up. So it's now May, and this bill is coming into effect on the 1st of July. So I can give the Minister the assurance that it was despite our efforts, which is not the usual case in opposition actually, that this bill has been delayed. And I want to say that we have made a big and difficult, we as a parliament have made a big and difficult job more difficult because of the time pressures that we've now put on the people implementing it. That was not the intention of our committee, it was not the intention of Labour. And if you want more details on who to blame, I'm happy to provide them at a suitable opportunity. Labour wants this bill to be delivered. We support it, and we want it to be delivered well. We want our firefighters to go into the new regime knowing their place. We want them to know their chain of command, and also to know that they are valued and valuable. They need to feel this is their organisation, wherever they came from under their current life, whatever part of the fire services they came from. And we want New Zealand citizens to continue to hold our firefighters in the pedestal of respect that they currently do. It is quite funny when you look at the regular surveys of what professions are highly regarded. It struck me a number of times how ironical it was that we as politicians, who are usually on the other end of the scale, were determining the structure for the profession that's held in the highest regard, but I hope we got it right. It's a grand and fortuitous situation that we are hopefully passing this bill on International Firefighters Day, and I guess that's a real tribute for Parliament to give firefighters. So I certainly hope it will go through by 6 o'clock. Minister Dunn, you don't have to get anxious about that because we can't extend it past the time we've got. I want to finish with some acknowledgements. I want to acknowledge firefighters throughout the country, particularly those who have worked recently tirelessly in my electorate on the Port Hills fires. I want to especially acknowledge Steve Eskins, who died fighting those fires, but all the firefighters who worked so hard to keep people and property safe, and often, well, I guess in more dangerous circumstances than we have seen in New Zealand before, very similar to what has been seen in Australia, but pretty horrific for us, and I certainly don't want to have a repeat of that anywhere in the country. I want to acknowledge the Minister. It is about the 16th or 17th time an attempt's been made. He got the stars lined up, he got the right people on the job, and it's worked, so I congratulate him on doing that. I want to acknowledge all the Select Committee members who worked so hard to get this right. Submitters who contributed so well to our thinking, our Select Committee staff, and particularly our officials. I think by the end of the process they were actually enjoying coming to our Select Committee. It may just be that they were extremely good at putting on a brave face, but they did, under a lot of time pressure and a lot of pretty hard scrutiny from the Select Committee members, they did the public service proud. We had a very wide range of advisors, and every single one of them did a top quality job, and I hope that their bosses are listening, and that's reflected in their next wage negotiations, because they deserve it. This is a huge step, but for me it's still a job not finished. That's not a criticism of the Minister. I think we can just go further after what has been a very big and important step forward. I think we can develop a fairer levy system, and we should try to do that on a cross-party basis. We've only got 11 sitting weeks left, Minister. You're pretty good at using your time well. I challenge you to get that discussion started across all parties here, and let's see who's left of us after September the 23rd, and let's pick it up as a discussion that needs to be had. I do think that we need a more common sense approach to traffic management. If we can trust firefighters to save our lives, and we do, I think we can trust them to test fire hydrants without needing a traffic management plan, and I hope we can do that. We need an independent complaints process. Submitters raise that, and I think in the same way as police do, we should look at that. And we should put service into the name of the new organisation. I don't know why, really, it's not in there. But we all know that what firefighters do, whether they're in rural and forest or professional or volunteers, they are there because of their commitment to service, and even if the word isn't there, none of us will ever forget that. This is a good and positive step forward, and I'm delighted to see its progress this evening.
Okay. Matt Dempsey.
Well, thank